All right, we live. I'm live up in here. So I'm live. I'm streaming on Instagram as well. I found out how to do that. Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and we getting it in. It's Saturday. It's 3:30. You already know how we do. So go ahead and strap on in. Get your popcorn, get your snacks, get whatever you need, because today we are viewing Professor Carl Tone Jones's documentary, his documentary film, The Independence Day Project. We're getting into it. Y'all asked for it, so that's what we're doing. We're watching the Independence Day Project, so make sure you come on in. Like I said, I'm learning this because I finally learned how to go live on Instagram on this streaming software. So I'm getting all this stuff together. But y'all go ahead and come on in. Make sure you hit that like button when you come in. Please hit that like button. Drop a comment. Let me know who you are. You can drop where you from. You can say hello. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and speak when you come in, because we about to get it in. We're watching the Independence Day Project today. Shout out to Professor Carl Tone Jones. Shout out to Patrick Irvin. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting On the Shoulders of Giants. I've been telling you, like I've been saying for a while, we've been shadow banned. So every day at 1 p.m., a video will drop. Saturdays, 3:30. Tuesdays, you're going to get a video at 1 p.m. Then we going live at 9 p.m. So make sure you are in the place to be while I go ahead and get this together so we can watch the Independence Day Project, because that's what we're getting into today. Arnold Weatherspoon, what's going on, my brother? How you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. It's Saturday. Hey, you could be anyway, but you're here. We're about to watch this Independence Day Project. I want to make sure people come on in. Welcome my Instagram audience. This is my first time going live on Instagram, so make sure y'all come on in and check out everything. But like I say, get your snacks, get your drinks, and everything together, because we're watching the Independence Day Project. Of course, we're gonna have our commentary. We're gonna get into what we do. We're still gonna do how we do it, but we're watching the Independence Day Project. But the question on the table for this documentary, the question on the table is, what does an independent Black community look like? I'm going to say it again. What does an independent Black community look like? That's the question that's on the table when it comes to this documentary film. Once again, it's the Independence Day Project by Professor Carl Tone Jones. It was built off the question of, what does an independent Black community look like? And everybody in this documentary, including myself, we are answering that question in our own way, in our own lens of how we were asked to answer the questions. Of course, it's featuring myself, Professor Carl Tone Jones, Patrick Irvin, the brother Q Butters, and a host of other good people who had a lot of good information to add to this film. So it's a real good, rich film. It's 2 hours. Now, the plan is to try to get through as much of it as possible today. If we don't finish today, we might pick it up on Tuesday, the next Saturday, but we're doing what we're doing. But that's the question. Get in the comments. I want to ask that question first. Let's have a little dialogue before we get into it. What does an independent Black community look like to you? Answer that question. Miss Ashlyn says, true freedom. An independent Black community looks like true freedom to you. Miss Ashlyn, can you expand a bit on what you mean by true freedom within an independent Black community? Can you just expand a little bit on it? Terrell, my man Terrell is in the building. Good afternoon to you, Terrell. Thank you once again for becoming a member on this channel. And happy to have you here as always. Amina, my girl Amina in the building. What's going on? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I hope everything is going good on your end as well. I hope everything is going good for everybody. The question on the table once again, what does an independent Black community look like? Also, I was asking another question. Is an independent Black community racist? I'm gonna ask that once again. Is an independent Black community racist? And I just want to ask that question. I know what I think. I know my answer, and I will give it in time. But want to put that other question on the table. Is an independent Black community racist? If you think it is racist, why? If it's not racist, why? And one of the reasons I ask that is because, a lot of times when white people are creating their own enclaves, their own communities and things, of course, it's not built the same way that ours is built, but they build their own communities nevertheless. But what is the intent, the purpose behind it, right? So that would be maybe some of the subtle differences or some subtle similarities. I don't know, but that's what I want to ask you all. I know what I think, but I want to ask you all: is an independent Black community racist? So 2 questions on the table. What does an independent Black community look like? And the second question is an independent Black community racist? And SPB, the petty Pan-African says, greetings, no such animal as a Black racist. There's no such animal as a Black racist. Okay. Expound on that, my brother. Expound on that. But we're finna go ahead and get it started. Once again, the questions on the table. What does an independent Black community look like? And is an independent Black community racist? Keith Payne, what's going on? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get this started. The Independence Day Project, I present to you.
What does an independent Black community, free of the system of white supremacy, look like to you?
Nah, it's not a panel. I like that, Ms. Ashton. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate you.
A world without white supremacy. It'd be beautiful. It would be beautiful. Yeah, it'd be beautiful.
Jason, what's going on, my brother? Black only allowed. Okay. Elaborate a bit. I want us to elaborate on our own today.
So the question is, what would the Black community look like if it was free to self-actualize, free from racism, white supremacy?
It looks like mine. It's like harmony, it looks like quality, it looks like peace, it looks like, everything that we are striving for.
I think the first thing that we have to establish when we're talking about independence is discussing what is independence. What is independence for everyone? Then specifically, what is independence for us? Independence is when you have your own sovereignty.
I think the key thing for me is wrapping our minds around what we mean by independence.
What you said, Mr. Ashton.
And I think that there's a difference between freedom and independence, although the two are in the same family, so to speak.
Living in a community where you're free.
For us, by us wouldn't just be a slogan or a catchphrase. It would be the actual way that we lived. It would be normal.
We would have gotten rid of the rugged individualism that plagues a lot of us and keeps us kind of, acting as like animals, sometimes kind of with a dog-eat-dog mentality.
Where you're free to move independently, where you're free to move without obstruction, where you're free to move without being oppressed or in an oppressed situation. I think we would understand more so how creative we could be, how much more protective we would be in our environment, how much more responsive we would be to one another, how proactively we could think if we weren't under the thumb of white supremacy and the oppressive state and systems that it causes and creates amongst us.
Step into your power.
It's time to transform.
Step into your power.
It's time to transform.
Step into your power.
It's time to transform.
Tonight, freedom.
Today we fight.
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 When you hear Black independence, what's the first thought that comes to your mind?
Well, when I hear Black independence, I think Black communities coming together as one to discuss the issues that we have going on in our community.
Just to be clear, SPB, you would say there's nothing as far as the difference between freedom and independence. I'm just being clear. Is that what you're saying? You would say nothing about, or is it something else?
Alandra?
When I hear Black independence, I think of Black people striving to be great without white people.
Rihanna, what does Black independence mean to you?
Like building up the Black community and getting people together.
Maurice?
I believe independent Black community should be Black people building up their own community with little to no help from any other race.
I see that as working our way from the foundation. We understand that you can't build any structures, any buildings, any monuments, anything without.
Why is independence and freedom the same thing?
A foundation that is strong, that's able to uphold it. And, without any European influence.
Not a puppet sovereignty, but when you have your own government, your own sovereignty over the people who look out for the best interests of the people. What I think is interesting is that we celebrate every 4th of July the independence of America. What does that mean? That means that America fought against the British. Of course, that was the only way that Britain was going to release power for America to establish their own sovereignty. They were not going to march in front of them. They were not going to hold hands and sing.
We can, a strong, united group of people can do business with others. I do agree with that, Jason. But we do got to do us. But a strong, united group of people who are respected can do business with others and not, be manipulated by the other groups of people.
The only way that Britain was going to release power for America to be its standalone country or its own sovereignty, it took physical force for that to happen. And Britain is the one who decided that it was going to take physical force before they released that power. Keep that in mind. But they fought against Britain and they established their own country. A group of people celebrate that on the 4th of July every year, that they fought against Britain to establish their own sovereignty. Now let's get to Black people in this country. What we celebrate in this country is not independence. Now I know we have our Juneteenth celebration, but what are we celebrating exactly with that? We're celebrating an Emancipation Proclamation. We're celebrating a document that was released by white supremacists to tell us that more people in select states were going to be able to have access to their God-given human rights. Should we celebrate that? That's not independence. What a lot of people don't.
Before she get deeper in that, so basically, if somebody has to give you your freedom, are you truly free? And SPB. So I do like your definition of independence. It says independence means no outside restrictions or oversight. All right. So what about freedom? Though, what's your definition of freedom? And you say Juneteenth.
No, is that a lot of our ancestors, prior to this Civil War, they were fighting and fighting.
Nemesis X in the building. Appreciate you being here, my brother. It says, Let me change this so we can see. The emancipation deportation. Right. Terrell says no. All right. Said the Asians don't be around other groups of people. True. So I would say SPB, I would say freedom is, from my understanding, of freedom and independence. Like independence is I'm free of all restrictions from all others. Freedom is I am allowed to have a certain amount of freedom. I'm able to move around with a certain amount of freedom within confines, though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we are here in America, like we're free to do things, but there's still confines to it. Like when you're independent, there are no confines from any other group. It says if someone can give you something, they will that I'm just saying that shows you the power imbalance. That shows you that if I can give you your freedom, then you don't have the power to actually be free.
To be independent of this European sovereignty that's over us.
Schools will be involved, places of worship will be involved, community centers, people's homes, parents will be teaching their children in the home things they need. In addition to after-school programs like liberation schools, things of that nature.
Now, Ms. Ashland, I will say, I do like your comment, but I will say that is why I think we need to concentrate on white supremacy as a global system and not just something that's here in America, but as a global system, because I'm with you, but the corrupt system need to be ousted all over the globe. I would add that to it. Damon, what's going on, my brother? Happy to have you here. Shalom to you, my brother. Karma says, through this holiday boycott, we will be feeding our mind one step. We need to boycott a lot of stuff. I'm not against, I don't really sell it. Look, I don't even really be knowing them holidays come. I just know I don't have to go to work them days. I don't even really care why I don't have to go to work. I just know I don't be having to go to work. So half these holidays, I don't celebrate because I don't even be knowing, but I'm down with boycotting and not returning and not even going back to anything that they got going on. SPB, I would argue that we don't really have freedom in this country. Right. No. So we on the same page. So we don't have real freedom. We have pseudo freedom. We have limited freedoms. Right. But we're not free and we're not independent. Right. Because we're still dependent upon the system of white supremacy. Ricardo is in the building. My man Ricardo is in the building. That's when you get someone from WFS, make sure it's something they can't be back, such as right. Says if you're going to take time for us to gain our freedom because it's the mind we need to. Well, that's where we have to start. In order for us to truly be free, we have to start with our minds. We have to take the shackles off our minds because we can already see we're not physically in bondage now, but look at how we behave. Look at how we help uphold the system of white supremacy. Now, yeah, there you go. Boycott America as a whole. I'm with you. Ricardo, I prefer knowledge as opposed to education. I always ask the question, educated to do what? They are many educated. So, and it's funny you say that, Nemesis. It's funny you say that. That's what my video on Monday is going to be about, because as y'all know, we're going to be reading. Hold on, let me make myself Lord. So we reading Miseducation of the Negro. Of course, it's winning in the vote. So I don't think the other book's gonna catch up, but Miseducation of the Negro. But that's what we're getting into in chapter 1 of the Miseducation of the Negro. So yeah, go back to this screen. Says we aren't educated to liberate. There you go. And that role can be replaced by other groups, technology, or AI, all of that stuff. So let me get back into it.
And no one individual is greater than the community collective. So I think that would be like fundamental, like, foundational in terms of like just the sociology and the idea around how we live and how we exist. And from out of that, all of our opinions and our actions and our behaviors would be informed by that. In terms of all the different areas of how we exist, I mean, whether it's education, whether it's how we eat our food, how we procure resources, economics, spirituality, religious systems, anything and everything will be guided by what's the best for the community at whole, first and foremost.
So the independent village, if you will, is a village that's centered on the idea of responsible usage of power for both promoting itself into the world and then resisting incursion into resisting, people trying to impose their power on you.
First thing I see is I see love. The second thing I see on the other end is I see hate, because they gonna hate us. like some people gonna hate you for this documentary, but they gotta deal with it because we are focused. And in being focused, we got a plan and we're working it. So we're gonna get our education together. We're gonna get our economics together.
We're talking about black beauty. We're talking about black empowerment. We're talking about black strength. We're talking about healthy black communities, healthy black relationships.
It looks like it's thriving. It looks like everybody's helping everybody. It looks like we're teaching everybody how to own a business. It's a free black economic system. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like thriving.
What does that mean? That means that we would no longer depend on another group of people, Europeans in America, to govern and control our civilization.
We need them for so many different things, and we aren't accountable for our necessities. We're always going to be subject to white supremacists. But when we find ourselves in a place where we desire to be accountable for everything black people need, that's how we begin to create those types of things.
Before Pat go, we talk about a mindset though. We're talking about a mindset that black America, enough people in black America have to have the mindset of, okay, we have to put ourselves first. We have to look out for ourselves first. It's like I was watching a video on one of them social media platforms, and the guy was talking about a situation to where he was interacting with a white family, his family and a white family, and they were asked a question about a certain scenario. And the question was, if your family and this family were lost in the woods and you found a limited amount of food, how would you distribute the food? They asked the black man first. And the black man's reply was he would split the food so it's enough food for his family and the white family. And then they asked the white guy, hey, if your family and his family were stranded in the woods and you found a limited supply of food it was just a limited supply, how would you split the food? And the white guy said he would feed his family first, and whatever's left over, he would feed the black family. And what they're saying is they understand that they put themselves first. We don't put ourselves first because we've been trained to think that everything white is right. And we've been trained to go in the white spaces, and that's what success is. And let them lift us up, and let's be around all this whiteness, because the whiteness is the good stuff. White ice is cold. Everything white is better. And that's where it gets back to like the social engineering, our corrupted social engineering. So, hey man, we have to watch out for the new black face. Said Damon Reeves. Hey man, it's some real brothers up in here. If you see someone else at the top or center of anything you interact with anyway, and you don't see yourself, there you go. Hell no, an independent black community isn't racist. The Nabisco racist, right? There you go. Speak on it, Damon. Speak on it. That's why I'm asking the question, because I want us to answer these questions like fully. I don't want, please, let's for the day, let's not do yes and no answers. Let's give some answers. Like, why isn't a black community, an all black community, racist? It won't happen, unfortunately. We have to connect to Africa. Hey, we got to connect to Africa. We got to connect around the diaspora, right? The cause and effect of the white supremacy system. There you go. We need to build separate small armies. We need to build all the enclaves that we need. We have to have the mindset to make sure that we put ourselves first, build for ourselves, work for ourselves, grow for ourselves, educate ourselves, move ourselves forward, empower ourselves. Everything is black first. Everything should be about us first. What's the code? Greetings to you. welcome to the stream. Thank you. We're viewing, for those of you who are just coming in, we're viewing Professor Carlton Jones, his documentary, The Independence Day Project. The questions on the floor from the Independence Day Project. The first question is, what does an independent Black community look like? That's the first question. And that's the question that comes from the documentary. But my question is an independent Black community racist? And I want to know why. And I want more than just yes or no answers. Please give me why an independent Black community is not racist. What's your definition of racism? Racism is the justification of slavery. Racism is race. It's the dividing of groups of people by a classification what can be called race, by racial characteristics and the hierarchy ranking them from greatest to least. And the whiter you are, the greater you are, the blacker you are, the least you are. And this was an ideology that was created to justify slavery. That's my definition of racism. Yep, from the fatherland. I just saw a short called "The Americans Are Coming to South Africa Looking for Peace and Reality." Y'all better come home now, family. Hey, we got to make sure we do got to sew some things up. Syria, welcome to the stream. We got to sew some things up across this diaspora. We do, but Black America has to strengthen ourselves. We can't just come over there weak. We got to strengthen ourselves. Bless one. Hey, this live stream is now blessed. This live stream is better because Bless One is here. Ricardo Float, an independent Black community wouldn't be any different from, say, an Asian community that exists. Ain't nobody called them racist. There you go, Ricardo. There you go. Hit that like. Yes, hit that like button, please. There's 30 people in here. Please hit that like button. We need to have 30 likes. We need to have a like for everybody up in here. Every time you come in here, please hit that like button. We're breaking through this shadow banning. YouTube is shadow banning me. I'm glad y'all been telling me let's break through the shadow banning. Please hit that like button. Hit that get in the comments, drop a comment, share this with as many people as possible. All my folk on Instagram, y'all do the same thing. Drop a comment, make sure you share, make sure you tell everybody about this because we're breaking through this shadow banning. What's the code? There you go. We got to have that code of conduct. Now, remember, we do have a code of conduct over here now. We do have a code of conduct. We was before Africa because God chose us. We was first. I wrote poetry for my people. There you go. There you go. Jamaican in the building. Up one time. O'Neal Dennis in the building. Shout out. Bless One. You already know Bless One just blessed our chat. I know one day we will be free, right? Because we're going to fight. We're going to get our minds right and we're going to fight. Yes, sir. Let's get back into it. Let's let Pat cook.
That community that first and foremost acts as a community. Now, what I mean when I say that is that a community does three things for its people. It provides, it protects, and it communicates.
It looks like a
provide, protect, communicate. Provide, that's what he said. A community does three things: provide, protect, communicate. Do you all agree?
bunch of people who are no longer colonized. People who have reclaimed their identity, their language, their customs, their morals, their integrity, their respect.
Yeah.
When you talk about independence and we talk about the Independence Day Project, the movement, we ask two questions. The first question we ask is, what does independence for the Black and African community look like free of the system of white supremacy? We ask scholars, community activists, community organizers, we ask entrepreneurs all over the country this question. The purpose for asking that question is because wherever you go, no matter how solid the foundation is, you have to have a vision and an idea of what it looks like when you get there. So we ask that question. The second question we ask is, what do we have to do now to put us in position to create that independent African community? That's the key.
So before we go, So what does we do? What do we have to do now to put us in position to create that independent Black community? I'm typing that in the chat now. Position now. All right. So what do we have to do now to create that independent Black community? So Maboma said, so-called African Americans must maximize the utilization of African as multi-level resources for leverage for survival and leverage within you. Yes, yes, yes. We need to connect. We need to connect with each other. We need to leverage everything with everybody. But I do think all nations, all Black nations around the world, they need to, as a nation, they need to be strong. Every link in the chain needs to be strong. We need to make sure you have your stuff together at home before we try to link with everybody else. SPB says agreed. It says, what's the code? Says not being mistreated. It says agreed. I couldn't confirm to other races' ideologies. My mind is at peace. We got to do it for ourselves. We got our own ideologies. We don't need other people's ideologies. We got our own. All races come from the Black. Everything comes from the Black. We all know that. We know that. We need an agenda. We need an agenda for 2028. Now, we need all of that. That's where the think tanks come in. We need more or real Black think tanks. Black think tanks need to exist. They have to exist. We need that. I get the feeling that this is an antiquated question during segregation. We had independent Black communities. Have we forgotten that? Yes. Yes, Ricardo. Yes. The answer to your question is yes. We have forgotten that. Now, because remember, we talk about Black Wall Street, but we talk about Black Wall Street in a romanticized way that seems unattainable. And we don't really talk about Black Wall Street, the true fallout of Black Wall Street. Yes, Black Wall Street was bombed, but it was rebuilt, and then white ice became colder, right? But yes, we have forgotten that, and that's the problem. We have forgotten that because that's one of the questions, like when we were making the documentary, that's one of the things that we were talking about. But yes, it's independent Black communities have existed in the past, but we're talking also about an independent Black community free of the system of white supremacy. So that would be one of the caveats in this one is the independent Black community free of the system of white supremacy. But to answer your question, yes, we have forgotten that. And we, us as adults, have done a horrible job of teaching our own children our own history. Correct code of conduct, including consequential systems, separate and centralized. Yes, 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 yes. No more EBT welfare, police brutality, cops. From how we eat, to dress, to speak, they learned from us. Limited resources. We need to know who we are and not sell out. Stick together. Yes, Miss Ashlyn, I am with you. We need to do all of that. We got to be better. Professor Carlton Jones, he and his crew introduced the term, and it was Wukusu. And that's one of the things I'm going to start saying on here is where I'm going to bring that back. Wukusu. Woo, W-U, wake up. Cool, C-U, clean up. Sue, S-U, stand up. Wake up, clean up, stand up. Wake up, clean up, stand up. That's what we got to do. We need to get an agenda together where we can have an alliance with African country independently from white America, right? But a lot of those African countries got to get their stuff together too. So shout out to Ibrahim Traore and all he got going on. And I pray that man is supported the way he needs to be supported so he can continue his great work. We need farmers, healers, builders, our own policing, job stores, our own rules and conducts. All of that, blessed one. All of that. But we have to understand that it takes work to have an independent Black community. It takes work. So let me go ahead and get this thing going.
Self-sustaining, self-governing, and independent from our oppressors.
One where we are unified, that we are working in a cohesive bond together. One that we are using our skills to offer, to barter and trade, to educate.
Number one, self-sufficiency. The problem we have as a community right now is we're looking outside of self for everything that we need. Number one, basic survival.
So it would be a free society. Now, it might not be a harmonious society, but it'll be a society in which we will work collectively towards collective goals for the diverse populations that exist within the Black community.
Already know.
So you'll be able to experience your religions, you will be able to experience your social groups, you will be able to experience all these other factions that you would like to experience, but you would be doing it from a perspective of being Black first, thinking race first. And this is what happens in an independent Black community, where we will be rooted in the culture of being Black and being African, and being rooted into the various things, our commonalities.
Now, on a national level, we're also not talking about these communities being isolated as we've seen them be in the past when we talk about various different things like a Black Wall Street. We're talking about these communities being interconnected, to locally, these local communities being connected together via economics, via communications, and other methods of connections to form a larger national community.
It means that
So getting back to one of the things I was saying earlier in the connection with what Pat just said is strengthening your own community, strengthening ourselves here as Black people in America, us getting on code, us improving our behavior. That's the purpose of the wake up, clean up, stand up, us behaving better, us dressing better, us thinking better, us interacting with each other better, us loving each other better, us having better familial relationships, us having better communal relationships, having real communities, having real neighborhoods, like actually looking at Black people and just being like, I love you, my brother. I love you, my sister, uplifting each other, like actually helping somebody just because they Black. Like they doing good. You don't know them. You don't know nothing about them, but all you know is they doing something good. Help them. Give those who need the most constructive help. Give them that help. Living by the codes of conduct and all these things. They've already been laid out to us by our elders. All we got to do is use the information. Just use the information. Throw off the chains off of our minds and use the information. Be better. Be intentional about being better as people. Facts, they're speaking facts. Down south, Blacks work together. We didn't need or see other races. Like, hey man, look, I didn't have a white teacher until I was in the 3rd grade. So that's preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. I didn't have like a white teacher until like the 3rd grade, right? So it was, I'm in the South, I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. So, we had our communities. We got to get back to that. We got to get that balance. Right? Suggestion, practice to the plus stops. There you go. Practice. It's hard to do much when we don't have much money. Immigrants seem to get grants. Right. Now, true, the government does incentivize that, but we do have enough money to do something. We do have enough money to get started in Black America. We just have to have the mindset to go behind it. Because look at all that money they put behind Kamala. If you want the Black independent person, you must, there you go. Create that person that starts from the kids. By the age of 8, you can already be indoctrinated in the state of, yes, I'm working with young people now, and I'm seeing the importance. I'm understanding more and more the importance of Black families, the importance of, if you're going to lay down and make a baby, if you're a man and you're going to go shoot up a club, you better understand the consequences that can come out of it, because you can make a whole human being that would need you to make sure that you're a whole human being to be able to raise them properly. And we're not talking about just putting food in their stomach or putting a roof over their head or putting clothes on their back. Remember their mental state, remember their physical state, their emotional state, the psychological state. All of these things, every experience, all these things matter in the maturation of a child's brain and their experiences. All of that got to matter. So a man, before you shoot a club up, and a woman, before you let somebody shoot your club up, you better understand that you are helping the system of white supremacy if you are not intentional about family planning and making a baby that you are actually going to raise properly, and you got the proper faculties to raise that child. All right. Be on code, stand on code, and stay on code. Already. Contractor Preston. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. I appreciate you being here. How do we do that? We need real money. The grants and policies they offer come with stipulations they use us. We want to be independent. We got to learn, but we got to be willing to start from the bottom too, though. Got to be willing to start from the bottom, because that's what independent means, independent of their money as well. So we got to be willing to start from the bottom. You're right. That sorority group raised millions. I'm just saying. It's some money in Black America. It's some money in Black America. We're not talking about having white America money, but we're talking about having enough money to do a little something. We got that. You're right. We got that.
Own those supermarkets. It means that you grow and have your own manufacturing companies, your own distribution networks. It means that you fund your own organizations and your own projects and initiatives. And to me, that's fundamentally what it would mean to be independent.
I just want to give a shout out real quick to my people on Instagram. I am Davo, 74th Dogs, something dogs. I'm messed your name up. I'm sorry. And LaPoet, I'm messing all these names up. LaPoet. Welcome everybody on Instagram. I'm messing up everybody. I can't read. I can't see. I need my glasses. I'm sorry. I'm messing up the name. I need my glasses. I need to go get my eyes checked. But yes, welcome everybody. I love you all. Thank you for being here. I'm messing up everybody's names. I can't read them. Them things a little too small for me. I'm sorry.
So, an independent Black community, independent African community here in the Americas or around the world on a global front is a community that has its own agricultural base. It has an agricultural system that produces foods and medicines for its people. An independent African community is a community where the children and the families are learning exactly what they need to learn for survival, not only in this land, but overall survival on Earth.
Where we support each other on those aspects, where we didn't need any outside funding or any government guidance to help move us forward.
But it also doesn't look like certain things. It doesn't look like self-hate. It doesn't look like a chicken spot filling up my family with grease and things we shouldn't be eating. It doesn't look like Ak on the corner taking our money, selling us Lucy's, giving us Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It don't look like 3-4 churches on the block siphoning the funds out of our community. So it don't look like those things.
It provides what they need: education, resources, materials, and all those other things. It protects them. It gives them security to prevent things from happening, or to take care of them should things actually do happen. And then it communicates. So it gives the people within that community a voice that they can use to speak to other communities. So those are what we're talking about.
Other security, land, education, economics.
So we get into the aspects of trade. We get into the aspect of communication. We get into all these aspects when we start talking about them being connected so that they aren't isolated. So that when things do happen to a particular community in a particular region, all the communities within that region are aware of it and they mobilize to help that community take care of the issues that it's beginning to face.
So to have an independent Black neighborhood and Black community, nation in general, we have to control each one of those systems.
As well, and similarly, the communities nationally that might not be in that region are still aware of the situation and on standby to provide whatever needs to be provided so that that community can be secured and helped and nurtured back to health. Because one weakened community, if left weakened for too long, can create a break in the chain that could, at some point, threaten the entire national community as a whole.
So the number one thing in a type of environment where you say it's no more Black compliance, because I every time someone says white supremacy, I always like to say Black compliance, because it's no white supremacy without Black compliance. So therefore, us taking back our righteous place then our women and children have the time and freedom to determine their own destiny, which is to turn inward and get back to understanding that the whole purpose of life is living, is actual life. So what it actually looks like and what it feels like is sound health. You know what I mean? It looks and feels like peace of mind. You know what I mean? It looks and feels like freedom from fear and freedom from worry. It looks like hope for future achievement. It looks like capacity for applied faith. That state of mind where our children and where we know our confidence has been restored as black men. So then we know that we could turn our ideas into physical things. We know that us as comrades, we could count on each other. Your skill set, my skill set, raw skill set, our powers combined, like a Captain Planet type of thing. That's what it looked like, for me. But
in the right places, that's completely possible right now. And I think that's already kind of being done in different areas anyway. It's just to be like very purposeful on the language being used afterwards. And it goes back to that language idea, right? Language is never neutral. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about, liberating space, to reclaim, it's tied, those ideas are tied to like reparations. These ideas are tied to respecting dignity, and how land is like our foundation of what we can point to in ownership. So I think it's really deep. If we go on those angles. And that's where you start off to really start building people's consciousness to even have those conversations necessary to take it to a deeper level.
We have I'm working with a nonprofit organization, and we're all over the country, but our director is out of North Carolina. And one of the things that we have put together is a code of conduct. And it's a code of conduct for the black community to follow and add to, tweak to, whatever, to our needs or whatever, wherever region we are, because everybody's issue is slightly different. And that's one way that we can start feeding into the youth, is for them to understand that, listen, that we struggle with having positive impact on our culture. Our culture has been taken up, ripped up, shredded, fed back to us, ripped up, blended up, shredded, given back to us. So all of the connotations are negative.
Yeah.
So in creating a new spin on our culture, we're looking towards a community code of conduct. And when you have a code of conduct, and when people move to that code of conduct, it brings together a community because we have like-minded focus, like-minded goals.
Mm-hmm. So he's talking about that code of conduct. And of course, we have that code of conduct here, that PAX Inc. On the PAX Inc. website, the code of conduct that me, PC, Pat, and a couple other people that we put together. That's the code of conduct that we put together that we live by. And of course, we need a universal or a national code of conduct for black people in America, but we also need a diasporic code of conduct. But I agree with a lot of the comments that you all have dropped. Like, we aren't ready as a mass of people, as a mass group of people. We are not ready to be an independent group of people. Some people just don't want to be. It's too much work. We got to do stuff. We got to start from the bottom. We got to build. We have to be willing to give up the luxuries and the comforts that white supremacy would give us. We got to be willing to give all of that up. If we're not willing to give that up, then you're not really serious about being free. You're not really serious about independence, because we're talking about, when you talk about being independent of the system of white supremacy, that means no white help. That means no white pats on the back. That means no white people helping you do anything. No white love, no white upliftment, none of that stuff. None of that stuff a lot of black folk enjoy. A lot of that stuff a lot of black folk crave, right? We talking about black doing for black, being black, by black, for black, with black, next to black, on top of black, under black, behind black, in front of black, black this, black that, black everywhere. We doing everything for us, and we own code. We have a code of conduct, but we got to get our minds right for that. Are you ready for that type of labor? Are you ready for that type of work? I'm just saying.
And that's something that might be tangible right now. If you're looking for something to get started right now, well, we have something called the Vegas rule. And the Vegas rule is basically anything that happens in the black community stays in the black community. We don't go airing our dirty laundry. We handle all our business internally. That's something we can do right away. We don't have to go out there blasting anybody.
Yes, sir.
And one time it used to be just like that.
Yeah.
You don't go out and air your dirty laundry. We're gonna deal with it right here and right then.
That's what
and then
Neely
the white
Fuller
folk
said.
come around. What's going on?
That's what Neely Fuller said.
You know, even with us understanding culture, right? I had a friend who said something to me that was very profound. He said, you know what? Not everybody's meant to be a warrior. Not everybody's meant to fight on the front lines physically. Everybody's not designed to be a warrior. Even in their military system, not everybody's designed to be a warrior, which is why you see people come back home and mentally they can't handle it. It destroys their life a lot of time because they can't handle what they've had to do, what they've seen done over there, because everybody's not meant to be a warrior.
Right.
And I thought about that thing even further. I said, you know what? Not everybody's even meant to be some intellectual reading a ton of books to understand and make sense of this system that we're in.
We're not yoked into what we are as a people. So therefore we become parts of subsets.
Well, yeah, I mean, but going back to what the sister Carapool said, and shout out to her, she had the Great Griot YouTube channel. I wish she stayed at that channel going. It was one of my favorite channels, but everybody's not meant to be everything. You may want to be this warrior, you may want to be this scholar, you may want to be this or that, but you may not be meant to be that. That may not be what your pedigree is, and you have to be okay with being what your pedigree actually is. Everybody has a role to play, and your role may not be glamorous. You may not be in the spotlight. You may be a dark worker, but you have to understand that the overall picture is greater than your selfish desire. And that's what we have to be able to get past. Selfish desires. The selfish desires lead those people to the system of white supremacy. Those are the things that the colonizers play on. I just did an activity today in my Black History school where I had the kids build their own kingdom. And they built their own kingdom. They got all into the kingdom. They was loving it, everything. They built it from top to bottom, the rulers and all that. And I came in, I colonized the mess out of them, but I played on the differences. I played on the insecurities. I played on the disunity. I played on all the weak links in the chain I was able to play on. I documented things. I remembered things. I set them up. Colonizers did the same thing. We have to understand who we are, and we have to understand our enemies, but we also have to understand that if we don't choose to make our situation better, it's not going to get better. All right, it's not gonna get better. Say whatever happened to sister? She's that's a Professor Carl Tone Jones question. I know we talked to her a couple times after she stopped doing the channel, but I haven't talked to Carl in a long time. But that's Professor Carl Tone Jones question. How many more decades will we be in this situation? We're gonna be in this situation as many more decades until we get our mind right. Miss Ashton says, because the enemy teaches us, we need to know who we are, more self-hate. They made us into this cybernetic Frankenstein. There we go. Hey, man. They got our minds, black skin, white mask. They got our minds suggesting reading is more important than TV. That's what Dr. Francis Wilson said it. Many more decades. Yeah, there you go. Too much ragged individualism. I buy vacant residential lots to try to clean them off to use various things like parking. That's what's up. I mean, we got to have the mind. We have to have a collective mindset, though. And that's what we need to be working towards, a collective mindset.
We can understand that culture can be shaped in this modern age not only by natural occurrences, but also by the decisions that we make and the experiences and the environments that we choose to put ourselves in.
So there's an African proverb that says, power must be handled in the manner of an egg. Handle it too firmly, it breaks. Too loosely, it falls. And I think that our issue right now is that we have mishandled power. We have not promoted or put forward responsible power from a Black and African-centered perspective. We have not created power that we could resist European and white supremacy incursion. And we are not using the power of courage and imagination to create a powerful future for Black children.
Even within other cultures, not just simply within our culture or Black people here in America. Other cultures, you look at like the everyday people, and a lot of them probably you couldn't sit down with and really have a conversation about politics and understanding the truth of it. Not what they're fed to believe with the propaganda and the lies, but the truth of it. Or even understanding this white supremacist system because it affects all non-white people. You probably couldn't sit down and have a conversation and other people give you their understanding of it outside of the propaganda. But I said they have something that we don't have. They have a culture implemented.
As we transition from talking about a community, we also have to begin to talk about culture. Because culture is something that, for some reason, we seem to not really focus on, but a culture has to be in place that promotes whatever it is that we're trying to develop. Otherwise, it won't be supported. Culture is the scaffolding, the foundation that everything is built on.
They have a culture or a way of life that automatically protects them from some of the damages of this system. And that's where we are not protected. We don't.
Right. So that goes back to what Marimba Ani said. Culture is like an immune system. It protects, right? We haven't built a protective culture. We haven't built a culture that keeps us safe from outside forces. We've built a culture that is inviting to outside forces, even if those outside forces are harmful. That's the type of culture that we've created for ourselves, which is not good.
Have that culture or that code of conduct, precepts, way of life to protect us under this system of white domination.
You can't talk about having an independent community without talking about the importance and the influence of culture. Culture is it's the glue, it's the mortar, you know what I'm saying, that is used to put together, a brick home.
We don't have that. So whereas we have a mass amount of people who may not go gravitate and read every history book that they can get and try to make sense and put the pieces together of this puzzle to understand this white supremacist system, we are just like any other group of people, except our culture has been stripped from us.
I think first of all we have to acknowledge that we are Africans. And once we begin to acknowledge that we are Africans, then we can begin the process of changing our lifestyle. As long as we try to fit into this American culture and society, we deny ourselves who we really are.
And I said, if we were to implement a code of conduct, then for the masses of people who simply just want to live their life, they simply just want to have a family and just live and watch that family grow old and to carry on the family name, if they had this code of conduct, this implemented culture to live by, then they could do that. And as long as they stood by the principles and lived by the precepts in this new culture, then just by living and following out this culture, it would help to fight against white supremacy.
Otherwise, if you decide not to reclaim who you would have become had your ancestors not been colonized, enslaved, what have you, you will duplicate the system that we already live in. Is that all you want?
So they wouldn't have to read thousands of books to try to understand this system, so then they can make a better do or don't decision, right? By living out this code, this new culture, their decisions would help protect their civilization against white domination.
So we need to build on cultural integrity. Cultural integrity means you don't sell out, period. That means that there's no price. Currently, right now, what we deal with as black people, everywhere on the planet, we seem to have a price. whether it's here in America or whether it's on the continent, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in South America, or whether it's in the UK. We seem to have a price. And everybody knows that we are selling out for pennies to the dollar. So we need to start reinvigorating Black pride. We need to start reinvigorating cultural pride of being African. And that the pride that we have in our community is such that we won't sell out no matter what the price is. Because what our community means to us is worth dying for. What our community means to us is worth living for.
In a truly independent African community, we can get back to some of our African cultural imperatives.
And so I will say this. So our understanding of culture has grown since this film has been made. Because I can remember me, Pat, and PC having debates among ourselves about if Black America actually had a culture or not. So we went at it with ourselves before we brought it into public. But you know, our understanding of Black American culture has grown from then. But out of those debates grew our sentiment and our statements of, hey, yes, we are Black people from America. We are Black people from America, and it's okay to be a Black person from America. We are connected. We are both connected to Africa and Black people from America. We are both. Yeah, we are. So I just want to say our understanding of culture has grown since the making of this film.
Where collectivism is first, or communalism is first, and the good of everybody is considered before the good of just one individual.
The first thing we have to do to design a culture is to remove the indoctrination that has been implanted in us by outsiders, by foreigners, by mutated people, by our enemies. That's number one. Because they have us in an unnatural state, not living our natural way of life.
We have to divorce ourselves from this current culture. You know, this current culture of white supremacy, colonialism, whatever you want to call it. We have to divorce ourselves, remove ourselves from it in order to move forward to an empowered Black community.
So to get back in tune with who we are as Aboriginal people and connect to the universal laws of nature, then we can design a culture to problem solve.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure I put that out because I realize how culture is being talked about at this point, and understanding that, you know, we were confronted with new information, and that expanded our minds and expanded our thoughts about Black culture, Black American culture. But it also helped us to, like, you know what, we need to learn how to be comfortable and love who we are as people. We Black people from America. It's okay, but we still have our connection to Africa.
And to abundantly fulfill all the issues that we face as a people based off of natural law. And being the original people of the planet, that's mathematics. It's simple. You know, the language of the universe is mathematics. Without culture, you had nothing. You know, culture is your folkways, your mores, your values, your principles, your ideas.
No more Christmas, no more.
Mr. Marcos, which land for the flea market? I know the flea market closed down, but I know they're doing another type of flea market. They're supposed to be moving it. So which plot of land? Because I ain't gonna lie, I've been kind of under a rug on that one in particular.
Thanksgiving, no more Mother's Day, no more Easter, none of these commercialized events that reinforce the system of white supremacy.
Basically, what would be needed in this fully liberated 21st century Black community is really a mind state of unapologetic operation when it comes to things for us. Things that need to be specifically for us, the areas where we might have been weak in the past.
In an empowered Black community, what we're going to be doing is celebrating our traditional days. We're going to create our traditional customs, and we're going to reinvigorate those.
It's a bill that.
Okay. I got to check that out. Okay, I'll go check that out. Thank you.
Society, a bill-free environment for our women and children, number one, in the sense where the Black man has finally taken back his natural role as a producer, protector, provider.
So until we build a culture and design it based off of universal laws and universal principles, we'll always be at the whim of someone else who has indoctrinated us to follow in their footsteps, as opposed to that which we can thrive in as original people.
Using y'all service for 2-3 years, boom, here's this lump sum. So this whole 2-3 year period, our women and children aren't focused on bills, shelter, and these other things that get their mind off self-mastery.
We'll be reaching back and tapping into the ancestral spirit of our people, of our family, of the members of our culture, instead of dealing with the re-indoctrination and the re-education practices and programming of this current power structure, which we currently do consistently, So we'll be moving on our own. We won't be facing those types of dilemmas. Psychologically, spiritually, and physically, we will be stepping out of that realm and into a place of black empowerment simply by divorcing their cultures, their customs, their rituals and traditions.
The cultural traditions, if you look into, other African cultures where marriage was sacred. It's not sacred anymore.
Everything that makes you essentially is a part of your culture, because everything that makes you goes into the way you interact with the world and the way you see yourself in the world.
We have to address the elephant in the room, and that is, as a people, we lack racial.
Okay, Miss Ashley, I was going to ask I was trying to figure out exactly when you said, wait, what? I was trying to figure out exactly which comment you was responding to, but you were responding to somebody talking about the Bible. Okay, gotcha.
And cultural integrity. We find different ways and we find different things to fight for. We become Cape Crusaders for every other cause except for the one of black empowerment.
This year will be the year.
What he just said. So fighting for everything else, but what we need to fight for ourselves. Helping everybody else build theirs while neglecting to build ours, and complaining about ours not being built while helping everybody build theirs while neglecting to build ours, right? Overlooking what we need to do for ourselves is the problem. Not being willing to do what we need to do for ourselves is the problem. We have to be the example for the youth. The youth don't see us out building, so they won't go out to build. We have to get past the do as I say, not as I do mentality. If we want the youth to be able to adopt better habits, to be able to have a better future, first of all, we need to build a better foundation for them to have a better future and build a better future for them. If I am the greatest version of myself, then I am an asset to my community, and I can therefore help the youth be the best versions of themselves by one being an example and going out and helping in the community, being able to expose them to new things, being able to let them see black power and black excellence on display all day, the same way they see the athletes, the same way they see the hustlers, the same way they see the pimps and the drug dealers. They need to see black power, black excellence on a regular basis. Black people need to be in the communities. You need to be the greatest version of yourself. You need to have your mind right. You need to have your spirit right. You need to have your body right. You need to be connecting with your family. Your family unit need to be as healthy as it can be. Your romantic family unit need to be as healthy as it can be. Your friend unit need to be as healthy as it can be. Your business unit need to be as healthy as it can be. You need to be connecting with black people. We need to be better. There's a lot of things that we could be doing right now to make it better. Just be better black people. Start there. Just start there. Just start there. Let me see. It says, I would get FBA pool, the small motel in the south side of Tallahassee. I've noticed Hispanic from Miami. Them Hispanics buying up all the little stuff. They just, over on Roberts Avenue, there's 4 new houses that's just been built on Roberts Avenue going towards Sable Pond right before you get to that stop sign before you make a left to go to Sable Pond Elementary School. There are 4 houses that's been built on the left side, and I believe those are owned and built by Hispanics, and those empty lots that just been sitting over there for a while in the black neighborhood. So yes, same thing they did on Stuckey Street. What would be the constructive outcome of what in particular? And all Black community know, and all FBA community, yes. Okay. And Terrell is saying true. It's saying call ICE, Marcos. This is what the Bible is, the law, statutes, and commandments. I guess Cyrielle and Miss Ashley. We taught them it's always gave cave best, conquers of the earth. His time is up. We deserve our own now. Be one. Miss Ashley, I don't support racism at all. However, I'm aware that the Bible says, oh, y'all too. Okay. Specifically holds women and men to a particular standard. Okay. It's our wisdom in the sight of the nations. We love others and hate ourselves too much. That's self-deprecation, man. We've been taught that. We've been taught to hate ourselves. Yeah, motels, and let students from FAMU help run it. It's a lot of stuff we can do, man. It's a lot of things we can be doing here, Marcos, to make things better. I've been telling people for the longest, I've been trying to galvanize our people to let's just take over Orange Avenue. If we take over Orange Avenue, you know how much money we could bring into the Black community by just taking over Orange Avenue, which is a main corridor in the Black community already. Okay, no sellouts. We don't need no more. That's why we have a code of conduct. Pimps, hustlers, drug dealers, all those are sellouts. But those are the people that our kids look up to because they see them on a regular basis. I don't know what a Black pilgrim is, but Black just signifies those of African descent or have no phenotype, no such animal as an FBA unless you're European. That man made me think of AI. SB, the petty FBA words is a lineage, not a group. All right, let me go back to the thing.
We begin to do activation, recognizing the internal strength, that internal love and power for what we're here to do, and inspiring each other to do it. That creates community, that creates nation, that creates growth, that creates healing.
You will see schools where children are taking place. The community becomes the school. You know, we go back to the teachings and we go back to the way we learn, and we'll go back to the traditional oral teachings. The griots, the elders of the community will have more responsibility because we won't be throwing them into old folks' homes and nursing homes. They will have a vital part, so we'll keep them in our families, in our households together. We will have 3 and 4 generations in a house, not because, you know, we don't desire to have our own living space, but because in a village, everybody plays their role. Everybody has a part. So the children have a part, the elders have a part, you know, the adults have a part, the youth have a part, the men, the women, everybody has a part to play in this particular society.
We understand the need for consistency when it comes to creating and building upon certain connections that are made with people in a community. They got to see you out there, see you active. If you hope to position yourself as a leader or somebody who is a solution provider, you know, people need to be able to trust you. They got to know your face and have a conversation with you, see that you're a real person.
Now you said Genta, right? Did I say it right?
Jegna.
Can you explain what Jegna is and the history behind Jegna and the difference between what a Jegna is and a mentor?
Okay. I mean, to my knowledge, and the word comes to me through my study by way of Baba's Wade Nobles and Asa Hilliard, who I've seen both use the term in their works. And they say that it is an Ethiopian, particularly Amharic term, of someone who is of high standing in a community because of their track record and contribution on behalf of that community. So a Jegna is true to their word. A Jegna has a track record of fighting for his people or her people, a track record of modeling the type of manhood or womanhood that the community would aspire to. Different than mentor, which has a Greek origin and a sexual connotation origin that many people don't talk about. I mean, a mentor in Greek is someone that a Greek soldier or a Greek warrior would leave his son primarily with to act in stewardship of that son while they were off doing something, usually, you know, at war. And in Greek culture, when you think about homosexuality in its ideal form, quote unquote, it is not a relationship between two men of equal stature or age. It's really a man, usually a warrior, usually a dominant man who is in relationship with a sub-dominant boy. And so, you know, the idea of mentoring in that culture is really rooted in that relationship between the older man and the young boy over whom that man exerts power. And often that power was sexual. And so when we talk about mentorship, if we really want to get back to that space that I was talking about earlier around cultural integrity, it's important that we begin to raise forward as much as we can our
shout out to Renee
forms and words for what we mean, what we're trying to say. Mentorship might sound benign, but if you understand its origin and its role in the culture that it comes from, it's not what we would want to be prescribing in and among our culture. It's not ours. So let them have mentor. We have words for what that means coming from all aspects of the African culture for a person who's
Renee Woods in the building. Yeah.
Serve as a model of the type of man or woman that you want a person to become. I like the definition and the functionality of Jegna, and so that's why I use that particular term.
Okay. And I think it's important to declare to make that clear, because as we know, words are spellbinding.
Exactly.
And
they have power.
And when
you can't get away from that word power, right?
Right.
Even words have it. We just don't.
Right.
And y'all know PC got the Jegna chain coming up, so I'm gonna get more information on that, so I keep y'all up to date. But you know, just a little more context on that, like the brother said. They made it more intent. They've been more intentional about using the word Jegna instead of mentor because of the connotations that come with the name mentor of the older man with the little boy and that relationship that they had. And we like, nah, we ain't getting down with that. So more so using the word Jegna of more of a real teacher rather than a groomer, if you know what I mean. Who's that guy speaking? He's very intellectual. I think that's Brother Jeff Weaver. I believe that's Brother Jeff Weaver. That's what I wish. I told PC and Pat, man, they need to pull up. I don't know what they're doing. They probably have a life, so I don't know. Yes, beyond comical. That's right. That's right. That's right. Too many black people have made it want to use their power to give back. Won't use they too many. Look, my video on Monday is getting into that. Make sure y'all check out my video on Monday at 1 p.m. It's talking about that. Funding seems to be the biggest problem in FBA communities. They say we allegedly have $1 trillion. Spending power, that just means how much money we give everybody else. But we have enough money to do a little bit of something for ourselves. A little bit of something. I'm not going to say we can go out here and do a whole bunch of stuff, but we can do a little bit of something for a little bit if we put our money together.
We won't be performing in ways where it's detrimental to our community. So you won't see, the harmful habits and behaviors that we've been practicing. You won't see those things. You won't see them as much.
Culture is implemented in the home, amongst the family, and in the community. It's reflective of the institutions. If you control your own institutions within that community.
Yeah, I believe Jeff Weaver is his name.
Families' homes would be institutions. There wouldn't be foster care because we would have institutionalized.
People leave Tallahassee after graduation, especially black talent leaves Tallahassee after graduation. I've been watching it for 15 years. Black talent leaves Tallahassee after graduation because it's not nurtured. There are not many places where black talent is nurtured. And the places that do exist for black talent to be nurtured, if it's in silos. And if you're not a part of the silo, you won't know, and then they're going to leave. So black people still are working in silos in Tallahassee, and that's one of the main problems.
villages to ensure that every child is protected. You know, whether your parent has transcended or they just aren't capable of taking care of you, we would have an institution to make sure that no child, literally, no pun intended, is left behind.
You know, you can't even have family really without culture. You know what I'm saying? And family is the first institution. It's the building block of anything that you have. We can't talk about nation building and family if you don't implement culture within the very core idea, principles, and values.
You have to first acknowledge your heritage. You have to first acknowledge your lineage, your connection to Africa.
For instance, when you go to other sects and other places around the countries and around the world, you see that they have their diversions within their communities, but they also have that glue, that one factor that makes them whole, that one factor that makes them unite. And whenever that institution is threatened, they form a united front. They do whatever they have to do to protect it. And as a black community, you'll see that. You will see black people who don't necessarily get along. You will see black people who don't necessarily share the same ideals. You will see them coming together to defend, protect, and promote a community that's worth saving.
Those things all have a role to play when we start talking about culture. So we have to make sure that our culture is conducive to our natural environment, to the natural development of our strengths and our weakness.
There are examples of it, you know what I'm saying, in various different Jewish communities and Asian communities. I mean, just take Chinatown, for example. It's an Asian community. So you have Japanese, you have Chinese, you have Vietnamese, you have Cambodian, you have, you know, Filipinos. You got all kinds of people, you know, from
Marcos, there are a few. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the name out. Miss LaShawn Gordon. Miss LaShawn Gordon has done a great job of reaching out to graduates of FAMU, Florida State, TCC. She's been a great beacon of information and resources, and she will go to you. She's not one that will wait for you to come to her or remain in the silos. She will go out to you, but she just one person, and we need more of her to retain the black talent here in Tallahassee. And I'm sure it's not just the same here, but black talent has to be retained, but black talent has to be nurtured.
There's different Asian communities down there, but the thing is that binds them together is Asian culture.
Yes, sir. Terrell, share this, please. Share it.
That's what binds them together, regardless of them being Japanese, Chinese, or, you know, Vietnamese. Asian culture is the thing that binds them together.
That black family, the black family is the biggest threat, because the black family will spur black communities, and black communities will spur black neighborhoods, and black neighborhoods will spur black nations, and black nations will spur black, you know, Pan-Africanism and all that stuff there. So yes, unity is the biggest threat.
The other area where you have to be in control is what I call at the bottom of the pyramid, the idea of food, clothing, and shelter. So I call it eco-sovereignty. You know, a lot of people talk about economics.
Hey, Marcos, if you here in Tallahassee, I could put you on. I'm one of the people who don't have a problem busting up the silos and bringing people in. So I could definitely put you on. Email me on the shoulders, the number one, on the shoulders one at Gmail. I mean, yeah, on the shoulders one at gmail.com. I'll drop it in the comments, but email me, man. Hey, I could put you on now.
But really the root word of economics is this word eco, which is the control of your environment, your ecosystem, and your surroundings. And so you have to be able to be sovereign over the ecology that you find yourself in. At the level, not just finance.
Please share this live. Please share this live. Please share this live. Make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this. Please hit that notification bell. I am being shadow banned by YouTube. So hit that like button, get them comments. If you just say hey in the comment, we got to bust through the shadow ban and let's keep this thing going. Thank you, Miss Ashley.
And wealth creation, but like I said, food, clothing, and shelter. How you make and sustain the infrastructure of the village from the natural resources that are around the village.
As a community, you know, we'll be, in terms of functionality, we'll actually be creating a real type of sovereignty. Because sovereignty is only as powerful as your ability to defend it.
We're going to be the ones that set up the different systems economically. We're going to be the ones that set up the different systems educationally.
We got multiple businesses here. All our wives are black, all our children are black, all our employees are black, all our clients are black.
We're going to be the ones that set up the different systems agriculturally because we govern and rule. We have not only the intelligence because we built every other system on the planet, even including this American system itself. We built it, our intelligence and our physical labor.
And with having a free, black, economic, thriving community, I think that we should learn how to outsource our own talents.
But we designed all the systems on this planet that all other systems have patterned themselves after. We are the original people of the planet Earth. So until we take that power to self-govern,
my bad. I'm talking to mutant. So bless one. Yes, YouTube on that bull, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna stop, and that's why I keep showing y'all love because y'all keep showing up. So thank y'all for being here, Damon. Yeah, if you on that debauchery, if you're on that bull, YouTube will just let you do what you do. But if you out here trying to educate folk, they'll be on that thing. Hey, it's going down, homecoming. You already know black excellence gonna be in the building. Black people everywhere. A whole lot of black people gonna make money doing homecoming. You already know that. We have no other choice but to get busy and build up the black community. Blocks. Yep. If we don't do it, ain't nobody gonna do it for us, and they gonna keep stepping on our stuff.
Always be at the whim of the people. We're always gonna be under other people, and they're going to rule us to their benefit.
We have to make sure that our culture benefits us primarily, and it doesn't benefit other groups of people primarily, which is what it does now.
To go out and to raise money from maybe some of these celebrities, rap artists, athletes, whoever. But there needs to be a financial that financially sustains this movement. You need to have your journalists, the people who write their blogs, all coordinated. Because anything less than that won't work. White supremacy, which is what we are talking about defeating, works so well because it is an organized, systemic movement. A dragon with 20 heads. And when you cut one off, it regenerates. So one sword is not going to kill that dragon. You need a whole bunch of them working at the same time to do that.
So social engineering will be the shaping of a group of people socially through acts or various other things that have occurred to those people non-naturally, versus natural development would be something that has a culture that has developed naturally through various different natural environmental things that have caused a group of people to shift or change. So in that, we have to develop a culture that empowers us, that strengthens us, that has us viewing each other as favorable, that has us viewing each other as beautiful, that has us wanting to respect and get the most out of each other. All of those things have to be built into a culture, into our behavior, into our world outlooks on a fundamental foundational level before we can begin talking about anything else, before we can begin talking about economics, politics, war, gender issues, before we can begin talking about education, before we can begin talking about any of these other issues. We have to get a culture in place that is beneficial and conducive to the development of us as a collective in these realms of these.
See right here. Speaking of true pilgrim, are you coming out of her as you make your pilgrimage? Is that to me? Is that to somebody else? I'm just trying to be clear. The black community needs to buy up heavy equipment and employ black. Yeah, we do. We do. We do. Delineation is in effects, Miss Woods. There you go. Hey, we ain't standing up for the bull.
Based on our strengths and weaknesses, developing those things and not transforming us into other groups of people or trying to mimic things from other cultural groups or other societies. It has to come from our natural genetic outlook.
I don't see that happening in our lifetime, but I do see it happening for the generations to come if we are willing to establish the foundation.
And shout out again to the people on Instagram. Let me see if I can see Melanin Powerwood, Miss Cynthia La Porcina. Yeah, La Porcina. I said it right this time. La Porcina, Miss Cynthia Rose. She's a great poet, a great writer, a great person. Her partner, Mr. Stan Johnson, great author, great photographer. So y'all on Instagram is LaPoetachina. Go follow her and support her. Great person. Thank you for being here. Food and Thoughts has joined. 74th CH Dogs, and I am Davo. Thank y'all for being on my Instagram live. This is the first time trying this Instagram live with this thing and finally figured out this equipment. So here we are. Let's do this.
We have to get out of this mindset that it has to be done now. I would love for it to be done now, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done in developing the infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I'm talking about us as human beings.
Chisel Chipper in the building. Welcome.
Tell us about that trip that y'all put together for Flint. That was powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. So Flint, Michigan, myself, along with a lot of great organizations and individuals, namely Nehemiah Davis and the RBG Fridays contingent and our entire network, along with my company, What's Up African Apparel, we became aware of the Flint water crisis, because we saw it on the news, you know, and it's crazy that it had been going on for 2 years before we had even heard anything about it nationally. And, you know, with that story breaking, it became very apparent to us that something needed to be done immediately, you know, and the only thing that we could think to do beyond going up there and tearing the pipes out of the ground ourselves is like, we need to bring these people some fresh water. And, you know, myself, along with Nehemiah Davis and the other organizations that we partner with, we came up with an idea to do a huge water drive. So,
what's up, African? This is What's Up African TV. Rez the Ruler, man. We out here with the Nehemiah Davis Foundation. What's Up African organization, as well as other great Philly groups. And we out here packing this truck up. We already got one.
There you go,
John. And everything. And
straight up, John. Hey, we can dwell all we want, or we can build. We can dwell on the past, or we can start building.
So we have one truck already filled up, filling in the second truck. First truck is a 24-footer. We out here filling the second truck. Philly to Flint.
I mean, we can do things for ourselves if we choose to. We can help ourselves better if we choose to. This is a choice. Most of us don't give a damn, and that's the problem.
It's real.
We put it together all within a week. That's what was so mind-blowing. It's like we knew something had to be done, so we just jumped on it.
Geared up and ready to go to Flint, Michigan.
You know, speaking of the Flint, you know, there was a black woman who had the money to put up to fix the water in Flint, and they would not allow her to do it. So, yeah, systematic racism is real. Systematic environmental justice, environmental injustice, environmental racism is real. We're going to talk more and more about environmental racism, environmental injustice on this channel, because we have to get that drilled in our head. They've been poisoning our environments along with poisoning our minds and our bodies and our souls.
Actually exceeded our goal. We, instead of just capturing 10,000 bottles of water, we actually collected 60,000 bottles of water.
Getting these waters for you guys. They'll be dear, Flint. We bought all the waters out in Philly. There's no more water nowhere else. It's coming all to Flint.
Was?
Oh yeah,
in the snow. He like just getting them, you know. But that's the type of work that like you said, it need to be done.
Yeah,
it need to be done. People need to see it in order to
Cause that inspired everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all had people like showing Puffy Combs saying, "I'm gonna throw $1 million out to this."
Right.
And, you had other cats. Yeah, I mean, it turned into a international.
Yeah, it was right after the Philly to Flint. They did the Richmond to Flint. They did the.
I seen
Miami to Flint. They did the
Houston
Oklahoma to Flint.
Yeah, I was even part of the second, like another part of that.
Sure did, and I think that brother ended up going missing or was taken out. I sure did, though, Marcos.
We put together something. It was after it was like the second run up.
I wanted to go. I didn't know who was. People was asking me like we was going. I was like, who's going? I wanted to go.
But actually being in Flint on the ground, knocking on those doors and delivering the water bottles and actually being in the houses and turning the water on and actually seeing it come out looking like red mud.
Yeah.
You see, and these are conditions that they are used to. It's almost numb to.
Yeah.
They've been drinking and bathing and cooking with this water for years, you see. Yeah. And it just now become aware to our attention. Right. So the water bottles is almost even pacifying the actual real situation. Mm-hmm. And it's not even, it can't even be looked in terms of a solution, but more so just a unity. So the water bottle movement to Flint was more so to show African solidarity, new African solidarity, more so than actual solution, because we know that we have to get to the pipes, right? If you want to change it, you have to get to the pipes if we really want to.
And you know what I learned about after that? I'm gonna slide the camera over and get a different view for you.
Okay.
But you know what I learned after that? I learned about this term called what was it called? Let me move it up a little bit. I learned of this term called shrinkage gentrification. Are y'all familiar with that?
Shrinkage gentrification.
Shrinkage gentrification.
Nah.
Shrinkage gentrification is when you basically sort of like allow a community to decay to a point where the living space is shrunk. And
the livable areas.
Yeah, so eventually you have to force the people to move to a confined area.
Yeah, okay.
And then they have to be, eventually removed because, now.
And that reminds me, Damon, rest in peace to the Queen, Assata Shakur. She made a transition on the 25th. So rest in peace to the Queen, Assata Shakur. I should have said that at the beginning. I forgot. I was eager to get into this Independence Day project, but peace to the Queen, Assata Shakur.
It's all strategy.
Definition. If you look it up, that's what they define it as. The process of renovating or improving a district to conform to middle class tastes. Now we understand they always use vague, ambiguous words that are really racist, but if you don't really pay attention, you ain't gonna notice it. So you just say middle class, or you see middle class, but it really mean white, because they ain't talking about no black middle class. They are talking about making sure everything where you live now has to conform to a white standard.
Strategy when it comes to the geography.
Because they can't just go in and slaughter everybody.
They got to give the illusion that, because they have these meetings, these county meetings, these city meetings, but they know that the people who they're getting ready to get out of those spaces are in poverty, and the people who are normally in poverty and experiencing certain conditions aren't socially, politically, economically aware. So they're not going to be in a meeting. This is what we see in Detroit, where 86% of the population of Detroit is black, but less than 10% of the people who show up to the meetings are black. You see, so then you have that 14% of the population of Detroit showing up to every meeting, so they're making the decisions based on the whole entire city limits of Detroit when their decisions are going to be within their interests.
That's why I said we so shallow in our analysis. They begin to confuse us, and I got black people like, it's just about money. It's not about attacking black people.
Hey man, you know, black folk, you know how black folk be, man. They be like, oh no, he talking truth. He talking about, oh no, he talking about stuff we need to do for ourselves. You know how it be, man. It's all good. Saj Shakur, rest in peace to the queen. That brother on stage sounds like Tupac. That's our brother Mitchell Chance is his birth name. I can't remember what he changed his name to. Didn't want to hear, not the one to get the point. Yeah.
Fool. You so shallow in your analysis that you don't understand what they're doing. And everything that they do is always about disunity. It's always about disrupting the unity that we have, because the unity is what empowers us. So what happens when they begin to gentrify a certain area? They gentrify South Philly and folks get scattered. They push us out to some counties, and some of the folk from my block move to Sharon Hill. And some of the folk from my block, they move to Upper Darby. And some of the folk from my block, they move to Delaware. And you know what they do? They got us spread out all over the place. We have no kind of political power. We have no kind of harmony because we didn't grow up with the new people that we live on the block with. So I'm not going to fight with them or fight for them because I don't know them. But you thought gentrification was all about money.
It's about a total breaking down of the community on all levels. Remember, all 9 areas of human activity. Everything. They're going to control everything to make sure that they stay in power, to make sure that we are in our place, to make sure that we never be a threat. Everything. And it happens all the time. It's happening all the time.
It ain't about money because it's not about buying low if you're buying lots for $60,000 and $70,000. But see, this is the mind trick and how we always get caught up. If they can convince you that gentrification is only about money, they can convince you that what's happening to you is not happening because you're black. And now they have destroyed any chance of any kind of political power. They have destroyed any chance of us having any kind of unity and harmony because they have disrupted the unity that we have, and you still thought it was all about money.
If culture is the scaffolding, if you will, or even if you want to say culture is the foundation, then the very next most important step of everything would be economics. So you're talking about how you're going to provide the resources to the community and how the community is going to manage those resources.
When we talk about economics, we have to be clear about a few things. One, economics can't be an individual sport anymore where we practice rugged individualism. We have to start talking about collectivism and aggregation of our resources.
When we say economics, we're talking about the management of resources, what you do with what you have. When you're talking about business, we're talking about a component of economics that is centered on acquiring new resources. So you acquire new resources through your businesses, and then which is a component of economics, and then you manage those resources in various ways, which is a larger part of what economics is.
Economically, if we were to really train and teach our kids, we would have more entrepreneurs, I think, which in turn would allow us in our own black communities to have more banks. We would actually own hospitals.
They my bad. I was on mute. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think economically we are just as lazy as we are intellectually. And because we know that we can go be a part of the system of white supremacy economically, we would rather just not have to deal with the trouble of building from the ground up to just holding our hand out to white people for the crumbs of this capitalistic system. So it's easier to get rich or die trying than it is to build up our own nation, our own thing for ourselves, to help ourselves. But remember, if you build it, you must protect it. History has showed us if you build it, you must protect it. I agree, Long John, no more excuses. John Long, it's John Long to my Long John, it's John Long. How did Europeans acquire resources across the world? Hint, wasn't going around the world. I'm just saying they was punching people in the mouth and taking it. Like Beanie Siegel and them said on what the movie was. Dang. Whatever the movie was, Get Down or Lay Down. You either get down or lay down. That's how they got what they needed. Economics tell those rich athletes, entertainers, they like multiple homes. But it's not just the athletes. It's everybody. If everybody was more economically sound, we could do a lot. We could do a lot. We pay taxes. We need to put pressure at the local level. Yeah, Shamika Michelle did settle out. I saw her. Yeah, she figured out this was a couple years before she took that right hand turn on the right and to go to say the stuff she's saying. But people be about them dollars. People be about them dollars though. Black independence go die.
A person gets a loan from a bank.
Man, these people don't realize they be pets, and then white people threw at them, they're gonna throw them out.
That sponsors and employs the community to start a business. That person then purchases land from a realty company or someone else that owns land or owns a building in the community that sponsors and employs the community. That person builds a store utilizing a construction company that sponsors and employs the community. That person then gets products from a manufacturer or a producer that sponsors and employs the community. You get the pattern? A person has products delivered via a distributor that sponsors and employs the community. And then that person, once that person does all that with people that sponsor and employ the community, they open their store and they sell products while they themselves sponsor and employ the community. And at every level of business, we need a culture that encourages sponsoring and employing the community.
My father owned 2 restaurants in Little City of Chester, Shabazz 1 and 2. My mother also owned a thrift shop. My uncle sold fish, that type of stuff. So for me, the barbershops that we dealt with black-owned barbershops. The tailors that we had our clothes made through black-owned tailor shops.
We gotta control every aspect of everything in our community, everywhere the money goes, every aspect of how we live, how we exist, we must control. We must think about everything. What do we require to exist? And whatever we require to exist, we have to control it and we have to protect it.
Economics, you got to promote economics. If there's a bake sale going on in the public school, the youth should be controlling and handling the money. We have to teach them how not to be the consumer all the time and be the producer. Because this European model that they have set up is geared towards just creating consumers. It's not geared towards creating producers. They just want us to be the consumers. We're just supposed to get a job and buy what they produce from them. We need to be.
So there are black credit unions that exist, but those black credit unions got to exist better. Like we have one here in Tallahassee, and I actually tried to become a member of the credit union. It's a FAMU credit union. I tried to become a member as a graduate of FAMU, and they told me I couldn't do it. So we gotta have credit unions, more black credit unions, and they have to not exist with the Popeyes business model.
teaching our children and our youth how to be self-sustained.
Contractor Preston, I appreciate you, my brother, with the $10 super chat. I appreciate you for the love, my brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
How to be creative, how to create opportunity for themselves. And we're here in the community teaching from the ground up how to be self-sustainable and how to build and rebuild your community.
The same resources that you use to apply for a job, you can use to get your own business. I ordered my LLC online, okay? It was $125. You can spend $125 on food. That's a bill. That is shoes, clothes, that are hair.
Oh, no, ain't nothing happening over the next decade. Probably nothing happening over the next 10 decades. Until we start to train, until we start to create a culture that trains our youth to be that future. Until we have those mindsets as elders, until we have more elders than olders, it's not going to happen probably in the next 10 decades. And that's the sad part about it. But that's the extent of the social engineering of white supremacy.
Hair? I now buy from the Lip Bar. That's a black-owned makeup company, okay?
And the Lip Bar lady, Melissa, she went to FAMU.
She's in Target now. She has her own site. So I can get all of my cosmetics and everything online from people who look like me, who care about me. Anyway, back to the original point with the LLC, it's much cheaper to start your own business.
We do chess clubs here at West Philadelphia Produce. We're teaching community solutions. And the community solutions that we're teaching is how to take your economics and have a business and also work in your community. You take your proceeds from your business and you're able to do programs in your community and give back to your community. And that's how our economics have to work. That's how our economics used to work. From juices to smoothies to different sauces, they're creating them, they're making them, they're doing them organically.
And the black church ain't finna help nobody else get no money. I feel you, they need to, but they ain't finna help nobody else get money.
When we talk about our economic situation, we have to be clear to really look at the terms of like rugged individualism, because that's been the driving force in the black community for the last 40 to 50 years. Rugged individualism, personal success, has been the measure or the yardstick that we measure success by. And we have to start looking at how ineffective that is when you talk about community building. When you want to build a community, it's about collaboration of resources and collaboration, the effort where people are aggregating their resources. So multiple investors will commit to a project, or multiple investors will commit.
Hell nah, Creflo ain't finna let that money go away from that $56 million jet. Jamal Bryant, hell, even Umar, they ain't giving up that money. They not helping nothing. That's why we need to make sure that we need to put our faith in people who actually have a history of doing something for the community. I don't think we need to have expectations for people who've never done anything for us. To me, that's not the best course of action, to have expectations for those who continue to let us down.
To an institution, and they'll build that institution, they'll build the foundation. But in our community, we're not taught that, so we don't think like that.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing with Umar. The message, he can keep his message if his actions ain't gonna do nothing. That's my thing with Umar. He can, because we don't need Umar. We can listen to Amos Wilson, Jawanza Kanjufu, but you know what I'm saying. I know, man. I know. Hey, hey, PC gave the green light, so we can go in now. We can go in now.
We think that our education puts us in a place, and our financial status puts us in a place where we form some form of elitism. And let's see how that, we can see that hasn't worked when you start looking at our community. I mean, look at how the billionaires and the millionaires are pretty much powerless to really do anything that affects cultural and relative change in regards to our situations. I mean, you look at people like a Suge Knight, for instance, who was running a $500 million empire in the mid-90s. We don't even know what that would have equated to in this day and time. But a $500 million industry, and yet still it was all stripped from him in like 10 years. You know, he lost.
I was mad at that psychology department for inviting him. I'm like, what's wrong with FAMU psychology department for inviting Umar? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be honest. I think they crazy. I don't think, look, until Umar opened up that school, he don't need to be invited nowhere. Why are we listening to somebody who has proven that his word don't mean nothing? Umar can jump off a cliff. I'm still mad at the people at FAMU for inviting him. Do not invite him back. If he ain't educating young boys, do not invite him back to FAMU ever again. And I'm side-eyeing all those people in FAMU psychology department and tell them that Joseph Ward said, I'm on your ass because you invited Umar and he ain't done nothing for us.
It's everything. Now, I'm not talking about it. I'm not, questioning his character or characteristics or whether anybody's personal feelings about the brother. But the bottom line is, this brother had access to that wealth. And because it was, there were some poor decisions, that wealth was taken away from him. And also there was nobody to stand with him. You look at people today like Oprah Winfrey, who's worth billions, but yet and still, has very little influence in her own city, Chicago. So, and I can go on, Bill Cosby, look at all the trouble he's gotten into. His wealth hasn't saved him from anything. And then you start talking about the entertainers and the athletes. And the entertainers and the athletes, they're relatively powerless to speak on issues because then they get blackballed from their sports and their source of income. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a high-profile basketball star or a high-profile football star. Once you start speaking about black empowerment, unless you are the main peg to that particular sport,
Oh, you have no idea, Marcos. I've been disappointed. I've been disappointed in that brother. I've been disappointed in him. You have no idea. Yeah. Collected all that money. Ain't educated not one black boy.
Well, they will oust you and they will blackball you. And then they will find all sort of creative reasons to do so. And if you don't have a group of people standing with you, if you don't have a collective or a collaboration of people standing with you at that moment, then they're free to do whatever they want. So this is why we need to have our own entities, and we need to have these entities as well as smaller entities combining their resources so that we can start talking about moving and collectively placing our community in the place of power and not always being subjected to the will of the dominant society.
People, we're the queens and kings of innovating things, of making it cooler, making it hip, making it jazz, making everyone else want it and want to appropriate it. That comes into cultural appropriation. We're talking about their cultural appropriation, us, because of our dances and things. How about we cultural appropriate them for their businesses? How about we look at their Fortune 500 corporations and see how they model those and study that infrastructure instead of worrying about a dance or anything else that's used for entertainment that's not bringing us any wealth. We need to learn how to bring ourselves wealth from what's inside. So I challenge you to, at this moment, think about something that you can offer the world that is invaluable, that you can make at any cost. People, black people, African people, we have to learn how to start our own commerce now with ourselves, in the mirror, in our families, in our friends, in our own small communities, okay? That's what that's about. It's much cheaper to exhaust your own human capital than it is to have someone else pimp you for their human capital. Because all they're doing is pimping you. I don't care how much dollar you get. I don't care how many benefits you get, what good schools you get to go to. They're pimping you. Pimp yourself. Okay? Be your own pimp.
Straight up, Renee.
Stroll for your own money. Pay yourself first.
Straight up, Renee. Straight up. So I'm going to stop it there. That's make sure y'all remember that point where we are 1 hour and 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Let me write that down. Hold on. Let me find something to write that down because I kind of figured we weren't going to get through everything today. But we at least got through it because it's a 2-hour documentary. So let me see. That's 1 hour Independent Day Project. That's an hour, 4 minutes, 25 seconds. Where we at? So we could pick it back up because we're hitting this 2-hour mark, and I got some other things I got to do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Hell no, Marcos. That fool is not FBI. I've heard that he's not full FBI. I've heard those things, but I don't know. He said, yep. So we're going to pick this up next Saturday. We're going to finish the second half of the Independence Day Project next Saturday. Remember, we're at the hour mark, hour, 4 minutes, 25 seconds. We'll be getting into it. So next Saturday, we'll pick it back up and continue our learning, continue to build. And I'm glad that you all showed up. I'm glad that you enjoy what you were seeing. Professor Carl Tone Jones, give him a round of applause because that brother is brilliant. That brother put out this great documentary, and I think it's one of the best documentaries I've seen, not because I'm in it, not just because he's the homie, but because he did a great job, especially me knowing the resources that he didn't have and how he was able to produce this. So I'm so proud of the sister there making gains in the beauty. Got to. And remember, I don't know why I be forgetting names all the time. Annie Malone Turbo, Annie Turbo Malone. Annie Malone is the creator of the black hair care industry. She's the creator of the hair care industry in America. They give the credit to Madam C.J. Walker, but Annie Malone was the creator. She was the founder. She was the pioneer. She was the innovator. Madam C.J. Walker stole her stuff. But yeah, our black women, our black people been doing it for a long time. Yeah, so we pick it back up, part 2, Independence Day Project next week. You know how we do it. Stay vigilant, be one family. So big shout out to Damon Reeves. I'm looking at Damon and Renee. Big shout out to Damon Reeves. I appreciate you, Renee. You already know what it is. Marcos, we got to catch up. You here in Tallahassee, brother. We got to catch up, and you know it's going down for homecoming. You already know. John Long in the building. What's up, John? I appreciate you. Cyriel, you already know what it is. I appreciate you and all your comments. Nemesis X, day one, brother. I appreciate you for still rocking with us. Miss Ashley, I appreciate you, my sister. Welcome. Thank you, my beautiful sister. Contractor Preston, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for being here. Who else? Who else was up in these comments? SPB, the Petty Pan-African. Thank you, my brother, for your comments, for you being in here, for rocking with us these past 2 hours. Terrell, my brother, thank you for being a member. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere else, but you've been rocking with us. Blessed one. You already know when you come in, the chat is blessed. The chat is better when you come in. Blessed one. Thank you. True Pilgrim 777. Thank you for being here. Who else? Because these comments was rocking today. The Principal Tootin Munser. I messed up your name, but thank you for being here. And I'm gonna get to my Instagram people too, so y'all don't go nowhere over there on Instagram because I got to give y'all shots out for showing up too. It's the first time I went live on Instagram and YouTube simultaneously. I got that together. So one take only. I appreciate you. I appreciate your comments. What's the code? Thank you for being with us today. What's the code? O'Neal Dennis, thank you. Coming all the way from the island of Jamaica. Karma X, thank you for being here. Who else? Because you already know. You got to show love to everybody so you can keep coming back. So you know you loved over here. Over here, we show real love. Not that love Mary J. Blige was talking about. Ricardo Float, my main man, Ricardo Float, thank you for being here. Not that toxic love Mary J was singing about. Manyoke Akiyot. I messed your last name up, but Manyoke, thank you for being here, my brother. Who else? Kimberly James. Thank you for being here. Watch out for the bombs. Kimberly James. Ronnie Thomas. Thank you for being here. Who else? Maboma, Many Villages, thank you. Thank you for showing up to the live. Y'all know we're gonna pick up part 2, Independence Day Project, next Saturday. We're getting it in. I just appreciate y'all showing up, showing my brother Professor Carl Tone Jones some love. Jason Reels, you already know what it is. Appreciate you, my brother, as always. Who else? A lot of people showed up today. I appreciate that. We had a lot of comments, way more than last week. Amina, what's up, Amina? You know it ain't right without you, Amina. And Arnold Weatherspoon, thank you. So, hey man, I appreciate y'all. All my people on Instagram, V1NC3NZO_D, thank you for joining. Lebrat11, thank you for joining. Salumu Bakulu Ku25, thank you for joining. Marcus Bethune, thank you for joining. Melanin Power, thank you for joining. Food and Thoughts, thank you for joining. Miss Cynthia Rose, thank you for joining. 47th S Dogs, thank you for joining. Arandovo, thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody. Hey, we're going live again next Saturday. Well, next Tuesday. Well, this upcoming Tuesday, rather. This upcoming Tuesday, of course, you know we're doing it live on Instagram and YouTube. We're bringing it back. And then next Saturday, we're doing part 2 of the Independence Day Project. And I'm going to try to see if I can get PC to come in on that. But y'all know how we do, man. I love y'all, and I'm out. So I'm going to say what's up. I'm going to peace out to everybody on Instagram first. I love you all. Y'all make sure y'all have a good day, a good Saturday, and I'll see y'all live on Instagram on Tuesday. So, all right. So the Instagram is done. No, don't discard my video. So, it's all my people over here on YouTube, man. I love y'all. Y'all be good. Stay safe. Dr. Kuna grandfather's. Oh, okay. Talking about Dr. Kumar. Got me saying Dr. Umar's grandfather is what you call it, Cuban. I love y'all. Y'all have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. I catch y'all on Tuesday. Peace out.